Hello everyone, I'm very excited to share the news about the next bigger update for Star Wars: The Old Republic. This will be update 7.4, nicknamed Chains in the Dark. This will include a continuation of the main story, particularly the stuff about the Mandalorians, a new story area called Kessan's Landing on Ord Mantell, a new world boss, a new reputation track, new repeatable quests, and new secret quests, and they didn't announce it, but there is actually a new datacron in this area. For those of you who played the Runuk story update, there will also be a continuation of the Lane Vizla and Basilisk Droid story continuation. In addition to these story updates, we'll also be getting some very interesting technical changes when it comes to lighting across all the cutscenes in the game. There's new cinematic lighting that was introduced in the last few updates, but the developers will now be turning it on for every cutscene in the entire game. There will also be a GTN Overhaul, so the GTN will be changing the way that it works. There will be a gearing update up to item rating 344, so you can upgrade your gear some more. And there will also be new ways to get Rakata gear. PvP Season 4 will be starting on November 7th. Life Day will be coming up with update 7.4. And there's going to be some new interesting color specularity technology. This affects the way that materials in the game appear as shiny or not shiny, matte. The way this is going to be introduced to the game is in the form of metallic and pearlescent dyes that are coming out with update 7.4 that you can use to dye existing armor sets, for example a fabric armor set, to make them shiny and metallic. While it was not officially announced, we also saw some changes to the way the starter planets look and their textures on places like Korriban and Tython, and they even updated the exploration quest marker. And of course, as always, there will be some new Cartel Market item looks. Now let's dive into the details. One of the most important questions that players are asking is, when will update 7.4 come out? They did not release a date because they are currently testing the update on the public test server. It's actually live and available for testing even as I record this video. And that's why I wanted to wait to make this video for you guys so you could see it on the PTS yourself. They have said that this is going to be considered a holiday release. For the United States, that will usually mean around December sometime, though we won't have an exact date. I am going to start by going over what story will be covered in this update. If you don't want any story spoilers, use the chapters in this video to skip ahead to the next section to see all the other cool stuff being added to the game without spoilers. In the developer livestream where most of this information was released, the developers started by going on a little recap of what happened last. So in update 7.2 there was Showdown in Runuk. Hedda retreated to Runuk after her battle with Shae Vizla, and since then she's been in hiding with the rest of the Hidden Chain out in the galaxy. Shae's been relentless in her pursuit, trying to track down their whereabouts. She's received support from Jakaya Ordo, the Arbiter of the Mandalorians, and his brother Ras Ordo, who have been looking into leads to find the Hidden Chain as well. And here's where the Chains in the Dark storyline kicks in. Things take an unexpected turn when Jakaya informs us that the Hidden Chain is simultaneously targeting various locations across the galaxy. One of these locations under attack is the Republic world of Ord Mantell. It's not ideal for the Mandalorians to engage in a turf war on Republic world, so Jakaya asks the player to intervene on their behalf and head to Ord Mantell to stop the assault. This leads us to the new area on Ord Mantell called Kessan's Landing. Kessan's Landing is much like the new Voss Interpreter's Retreat area in that they took an existing planet, Ord Mantell, added a whole new section and really revamped the graphics and the visuals in that area while still fitting the nostalgia of the previous planet. Players may know Ord Mantell already, mostly from the Republic Trooper and Republic Smuggler story. That's their starting planet. For this update, both Republic and Imperial players will be able to go to Kessan's Landing. Over the years, the Republic allowed this area to deteriorate, leaving the local population feeling abandoned and overlooked without the Republic prioritizing their needs. They've really done some beautiful things with this area. I have very strong memories of Ord Mantell because it was the planet that I first started on in this game. So I remember the magma and the lava. I remember the volcanoes. I remember the blue dark sky and the little mountains that you can climb all over. And they really took that and brought it to the next level with this update. As for characters you'll be interacting with in this story, of course we'll be talking to Ras Ordo and Jakaya. Republic side will be talking to Arn Peralin. Darksiders will be talking to Darth Krovos. And of course we'll be interacting with the Ord Mantellians in Kessan's Landing and a new character named Petra. For those of you who like daily areas, quests, and reputation, Kessan's Landing has the whole batch of that. So there will be repeatable missions dealing with the Hidden Chain and the fallout of the Hidden Chain and Separatists. On the test server, we can actually see the reputation track and the whole area and do all the quests, but the rewards are not fully set up yet, so you'll have to catch back to Swtorista.com later after the update comes out to take a look at those. What we didn't know when they first announced this was that there is a huge, ginormous batch of secret quests that lead you to getting a special item that you can only use on this new area of Ord Mantell, and you may need this item to go and get the new Datacron that's been added to the game. This is... Okay, I just paused my recording to go count the steps on the guide that we're making. There's currently 94 steps for you to follow to get this Datacron. Have fun exploring. There's also a new world boss for you to go fight. This one is still kind of evolving and being tested. It's called Freedom. He's pretty easy to find out there in Kessan's Landing. And he has a chance to drop a unique mount. While we couldn't see any of it on the test server as the story is blocked off there, we did find out in the developer stream that Lane Vizla and the story of the Basilisk droid being rebuilt is going to be continued. To restore the Basilisk droid found in Clan Harangir's clutches on Runuk, she requires not only information to repair it, but also to understand what makes this unique Basilisk droid special. Unfortunately, there's no manual or readily available information, as Basilisk droids are so rare that information about them is virtually non-existent at this point. We're going to be working with a new character called the Curator, considered the foremost authority in droid maintenance and droid history. In short, he wants us to find an HK-24 droid, an incredibly rare red-colored droid designed by Zerka centuries ago. If we can find it, it'll be the crown jewel of his collection. Now let's talk about this cinematic lighting. They said that since 7.2 Showdown in Runuk, they've been testing and implementing a new character lighting system within cinematics that updates the way lights interact and act in their cutscenes. It uses more environmental lighting instead of spotlights we've used in the past, and creates a lot of more self-shadowing, more detailed self-shadowing on the characters, and increases their level of control on the artistic side for creating lights within the cinematics. So they were testing this in update 7.2 and 7.3, but in update 7.4 they are turning this on for the entire game. That means all cinematic content across the game, from the class stories to the world arcs to all the recent updates, will have this lighting update implemented. So if you're looking for a new reason to go back and replay the class stories, now's a good time to see it in a new light. Next up is going to be the GTN Overhaul, and this is the one I'm going to talk the least about, even though it's one of the most detailed changes. In short, this is part of the long-running credit economy initiative. The idea is that they want to bring inflation down in the game so that items are more available and more affordable to the regular player. The really cool news is that these credit economy initiatives, while a bit annoying sometimes, are actually working. Prices of rare items like hypercrates or rare lightsabers or black dies have gone down either by half or even up to 2/3 of their price compared to last year. By the way, I cover all of this and how to make credits in my How to Make Credits guide. So the biggest change that you're going to see with the GTN is that instead of listings being all individual, with each item that everyone's listed being its own listing, now listings for the same item will be combined. So if you're trying to buy a crafting material, for example, you need 50 of it for a big crafting batch you're trying to make, instead of seeing something like somewhere between 1 to 50 listings for this same item, you can see them all in one spot, and you can see the variety of prices and how much you want to buy. Is a little easier to figure out. If you're looking for new fashion ideas or stuff to add to your collection, this might also be easier now. You can also claim things directly from the GTN, which I like as well. I have a strong suspicion that this is going to go through quite a few iterations of testing, and there's a lot of player and dev discussion about the fees for listing your item, as well as the buyer fee for the buyer who purchases the item. On top of that, I have a feeling some of the mechanics of exactly how it works is going to change, but in the end, hopefully it makes the GTN easier to use, and in the future, it sets up the GTN being allowed to use buy orders, which could really make a very interesting and lively economy in Star Wars: The Old Republic if they manage to make it work. This includes making crafting once again viable and being able to search for rare items that are often not listed on the GTN more easily. Either way, if you're a heavy GTN user right now and want to share feedback, read how it works, you can visit the thread on the forums, or you can hop onto the public test server and actually see it yourself. Now let's move on to gearing. If you're a new player, don't worry about this at all. This is mostly for level 80 players who really like playing the game. For those of you who have reached 336 item rating, for pretty much every type of gear, you can now upgrade it to 340. This includes your legendary implants now going up to 340. Don't forget, none of the content in the game is getting any harder. This includes flashpoints, operations, chapters, heroics. Nothing is changing in terms of difficulty. So if you're not having any problems with these types of content right now in your current gear, you don't even have to worry about upgrading. It's just kind of something to do if you enjoy that. Or if you're like me, who can use every edge they can get. Hide and seek will also be going up to 340 now, up from 336. Where it gets interesting is some very small mentions they made during the developer livestream but refused to elaborate on. They'll be telling us more later. So Rakata, the purple gear that's normally from operations, is now going up to 344, which will be the best gear in the game. Purple 344, which is Rakata gear. Normally what you would have to do to get Rakata gear would be to play an operation, get the operation currency or get it dropped from harder operations, and then slowly upgrade it with the OP-1 catalysts over time. This currency is mostly dropped from operations, but you could totally get it from just like story mode operations too. Now that OP-1 catalyst currency is also going to be coming from master mode chapters. Any of the Knights of the Eternal Throne or Knights of the Fallen Empire chapters drop 8 OP-1 catalyst, so you can even run these solo. They also made this statement, which sounds very exciting, but we have no details. Earn Rakata gear no matter what you play. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that means, and if that opens up earning some of the best gear in the game to our solo and casual players, even if it takes a while. While it's not technically part of this update, which will be a holiday update, PvP Seasons 4 will be coming up on November 7th. I've really been enjoying the PvP season, so you'll probably see me queuing up on the Starforge server. Life Day will also be returning as a holiday in Star Wars: The Old Republic this year. Once again, no exact date, but there will be a new item called the Life Day Officer Armor that they gave us a preview of in concept art form on the developer livestream. This one was a big surprise that they hadn't hinted about before. It's the metallic and pearlescent dyes and new color specularity tech. So they did a bit explaining of what this is, but long and short, they've added some technology to the game that allows them to change the way the materials in the game appear. So to make them more shiny, more reflective, or less shiny and less reflective, more matte. The way they're going to be introducing this is with new metallic and pearlescent dye packs. It looks like these are going to be Cartel Market ones, but I'm not entirely sure. We'll kind of have to wait and see. The colors they're releasing are metallic black and pearlescent red, its reverse, chrome white and metallic gold, and its reverse, and metallic black and matte black, and its reverse. They previewed this on one of the newer armors. It's called the Suppression Troopers armor set, and wow, it is shiny. There's nothing like this in the game, and this is a color that they chose. So the armor is normally black, but they put the pearlescent red dye on it. It looks really good to me. What I was curious about was, does this actually work on other types of materials and maybe older armors? They showed some images of it on other armors, but I wasn't really sure if it was working well or not until I found a player on the public test server who had managed to get one of these dyes from a cartel pack, and wow, it drastically changed the way that the color of their armor appeared. They had fabric pants from the Ahsoka armor set and a fabric shirt from the Resort swimwear set, and both of them became shiny like metal, as if they were made of some type of silvery satin or something like that. Here's a really fun one. Back in July 2021, they talked about the decade anniversary of the game, and they said one of the things they wanted to do in the future was to update the graphical looks of some of the base planets. I was very excited to see that they announced in the developer livestream that they were updating all the lighting in the game. That was very cool, going back all the way to the first quests that you do. What they didn't say is that they were also going to update the graphics of early planets like Korriban and Tython, and this was caught by a player named Cal from Today in Tor, who owns a really cool little blog called todayintor.com, where he goes over tidbits and tips and stuff like that. So as far as I can tell, these visual improvements are mainly focused on Tython with new waterfalls, and Korriban, where they've updated the textures of like the sand and the rocks and stuff like that, which were some of the worst offenders for how the game looks to me, to be honest, because they're very low quality textures. As we get closer to 7.4, we might see more of these types of updates, so keep your eyes open. Lastly, let's go over some of the new Cartel Market items coming in 7.4. So I already showed you the Suppression Trooper armor set and the way it looks when it's dyed. You can also get the Suppression Trooper rifle. This one actually looks like the Death Trooper's weapons from Rogue One. They've already released an Ahsoka-style armor set as well as a Thrawn-style uniform set, and now they're releasing a Defiant Maverick armor set, kind of meant to be inspired by Sabine. They said this one dyes really nicely. In addition to that, there's some new weapons in the Westar style, and Darth Nul's dual saber to go with the single saber that previously came out, and of course, those new metallic dyes. So there you go, there's everything that's coming out with Update 7.4 in Star Wars The Old Republic. I really enjoyed being able to explore Kessan's Landing. The new area is great, the new cinematic lighting changes and the new graphical textures are very exciting for the game. And I want to go rebuild that baby Basilisk, and I'm really looking forward to the changes to the GTN once they're all ironed out. Don't forget, before you ask, when does Update 7.4 come out? We don't have an exact date. We know PvP Season 4 is on November 7th. We know that previous days, Life Days, were on December 12th, give or take. But Update 7.4 is a holiday update without the date released yet. Keep your eyes on the official SWTOR.com website and their Twitter social, where they tend to share a lot of info. I hope you guys enjoyed this super in-depth look at everything that's coming up in Update 7.4. If you want to show your support for this huge amount of information that I give you guys in these videos and on Swtorista.com, please visit Swtorista.com/support. And if you want more videos like this to show up on your YouTube homepage, subscribe to this channel and like this video. As always, may the Force be with you.